So Rita and James, has been a big disastrous week for Joe Biden. James will be covering this in more detail later, but quickly, James, just tell us the latest.
Well, I mean, the latest, guys, is that I think that this is really the beginning of the end of the Biden presidency. You know, when he came out and said he was going to do a press conference and announcement to the nation on Friday night, everybody was thinking, this is it. This is where he finally says, after consulting with my wife, after consulting with my doctors, I've decided not to run again. So he would finish out his term, they'd figure out the Kamala problem, install somebody else as president or as a candidate. But that's not happening, at least not yet. And it seems like they are doubling down. And I'm going to go into this a bit later in the show. But this report that the special counsel came down with is absolutely damning about not only his memory, but his mental capacity. And it made the crazy decision to say, well, we're not going to charge him, not because he's not, suspected of being guilty of this stuff with the classified documents, but simply because we couldn't get a case up because he is simply a well-meaning, elderly, old man with memory problems. Yet, not competent to be charged, competent to be president of the United States. Tell me how that works, guys.
Rita?
It's astonishing because he is holding on for dear life. That press conference he gave was hostile. He was an angry old man shouting incoherently at times, mixing up Mexico and Egypt, and it just added to the evidence of the special prosecutor that there is something fundamentally wrong with this guy. He is not cognitively sound.
And two further points on that. The whole thing about him mixing up Mexico and Egypt was made a huge deal of, but this happens all of the time. And earlier in the week, at two separate events, he said that he had met with Francois Mitterrand when he was president. Mitterrand died in '96. He said he'd met with Helmut Kohl, the West German chancellor, when he had been dead for years. These things keep happening, and they are scary. Because if this is the mental capacity of the guy allegedly in charge, and I use allegedly, in charge of the United States as commander-in-chief, well, I think, the American people need a lot better. And they need an explanation also of who's really running the country.
It's a bit scary if you can imagine the red buttons there on the suitcase. Oh, Mexico, India, which one am I? China, which one am I? Oh, God.
Right.
Can you
imagine? Not just America. This man is leader of the free world.
Absolutely.
And we've got hostile forces throughout the world. We've got Russia, we've got China, we've got Iran, we've got enemies of the West. And they would be looking at this and acting accordingly.
Well, the serious problem is, of course, that China will be looking and going, hang on, we've got to strike Taiwan before this clown is removed from office. And that puts pressure on their thinking, no question of it. Rita, you're 100% correct. One of the baddest actors in the world at the moment is, of course, Iran and their proxy Hamas. And we learnt overnight, no surprise to this show, but apparently it would be a big surprise to Penny Wong, among others, that the UNRWA, Israel has just announced that Israeli forces exposed a complex tunnel network stretching hundreds of metres, partially located under UNRWA.
Oh,
under
really?
the Gaza headquarters of UNRWA, they found a tunnel which held, apparently, many of the nerve centre, the servers and so on that we used on October 7th. So there you can see it on your screen. That's the latest news. It happened overnight. Israel are saying that this puts UNRWA right at the heart of the Hamas terror network. We've been saying that that's the case on this show for, about 5 or 6 years now, but apparently it's still not enough for Penny Wong to, she still wants to restore funding to UNRWA.